Why be literate? Well, do you want to be competent and dangerous, or do you want to be vague and useless? Jordan Peterson said this live on stage a few years ago now, and I remember sitting back in my chair thinking, what a simple yet brilliant juxtaposition. Competent and dangerous rather than vague and useless. I immediately had this visual contrast in my mind of the path that I've walked between those two distinctions. And I realized that most men, when I reflect on my experience, the people I've worked with, and just broadly observing society where we're at, most men lack articulation. They feel deeply, but they can't translate it. They think clearly, but they can't express it. So instead, what happens is there's silence, there's outbursts, misunderstandings. It's a really strong one. Disconnection in relationships, weak leadership, and most importantly, unmet potential. For me, that's the ultimate anti-vision. It's what I want to try and avoid. It's important to understand what role being able to articulate yourself plays in this. It's your ability to take what's in your mind and on your heart and express it in a compelling way where other people can clearly understand, feel, and then act on. And this episode is about why the most dangerous man is the one who can articulate. And I'm going to take you through my own insights and hopefully build enough understanding for you to go all in on the power of articulating yourself very well. Because if you can articulate your ideas clearly, well, people listen. And if you can articulate your boundaries, people respect you. If you can articulate emotion, people will feel more and they'll understand you. And if you can articulate your vision, people will follow you. But if you can't articulate any of this, you tend to stay stuck with it. And your value as a result, it goes unseen and it feels stuck up inside. Now, let me say this clearly. Articulation matters for everyone. But for men, the consequences of not articulating well are often different because the dynamics for communication as a man are very different to that of a woman. There are very real differences in how men and women are conditioned, how they're received by other people, and how they're judged when they communicate. The differences don't come from biology alone. They come from culture, they come from our upbringing, psychology, and social expectation. And generally, female communication is more socially rewarded, and male articulation is more socially policed. Studies show that parents use more emotional language with girls and more of a problem-solving or directive language with boys. Generally, boys will hear things like, stop crying, toughen up, you'll be right. And girls will hear more of, how are you feeling? And tell me what's wrong. The result is women are often encouraged to articulate and men are encouraged to contain. This is reinforced. This is a generalization, but generally also as we develop into adulthood, we see that there's a continuation of this where women are often encouraged to talk through emotions, to seek support. They'll reach out for that, they'll look for it, and they will connect through language. But men, however, we're judged a little bit differently. When we speak too little, we can be seen as cold or disconnected. When we speak too emotional, we're weak and unstable. We speak too direct, it comes across as harsh or aggressive. So men walk this tightrope. Their communication is not just about clarity. It's tied to identity, to competency, and to respect, which as a man, it is everything. And this creates a gap between what men feel and what they can express. They feel deeply, but they don't have language for it. They struggle to express their needs, their boundaries, or vulnerability without coming across or being perceived as weak, aggressive, or misunderstood. And when they can't articulate what's happening internally, they default into silence, they use humor, withdrawal, or have bouts of anger that tends to come up and that gets projected outward. Articulation in this context isn't just a skill, it's a form of internal order. It's self-leadership over chaos, which is quite masculine when you think about it. And it becomes a source of personal power. Because when a man articulates well, he's able to set boundaries without aggression. He's able to express emotion without losing respect from people. And he's able to lead without domination. And most importantly, he's able to be understood without apologizing for who he is, his masculinity, or his strength. And it's articulation that gives him access to this influence. instead of control. It gives him access to respect instead of fear, and connection instead of isolation. In my Own Your Voice method, I use a simple but powerful lens metaphor, and it tends to land really well with my clients. I want you to keep this as a memorable tool and to put this into practice however you feel it fits necessarily. And I invite you to think of your articulation like placing a lens on the front of an otherwise blurry camera, right? You're going to take a shit shot without that lens on, and people won't be able to understand the contents in your frame that you're shooting at. People might see shapes, they might see movement, maybe even emotion, but they won't understand fully what they're looking at. So the message is there, it's contained within the camera body, but it's unclear. That's what happens when you try to express yourself without good articulation. You feel something very real. You might come to very real conclusions inside, and you might have something very important you're thinking about and wanting to share. But without the lens, which is your communication, on the camera body, others can't see what you see, and it opens doors for pains of misunderstanding, like I was talking about before. So articulation is the lens that brings your camera body, which is your thoughts, emotions, and your ideas, into that perfect focus. And it brings the picture into clarity so others can finally see what you see. And from there, articulation is giving your thoughts shape and your voice precision. It's thinking that's turned into impact. And it's the thing that takes internal clarity that we might have into external influence really effectively. You can broadly call this effective communication. And the thing is that anyone in the world, particularly with how things are structured right now with social media and the way we live our lives, anyone can project confidence. But the truly dangerous man, he articulates himself with conviction, with precision in his words. And when you do that, your voice becomes impossible to ignore. Inside my Prosperity Mastermind for Men, we develop your capacity, your skill, and your ability to articulate yourself for 5 key reasons. Let's go through them. The first key reason is for respect and authority, which is, for men, it matters sometimes and most of the time more than love. Respect and authority. Because when a man can speak with clarity and precision, people will pay attention to him. And articulation is that line between being overlooked and being taken seriously, which is what we really want. The second key reason is for influence and leadership. In business, relationships, and any domain of life, your ability to take your thoughts and put your thoughts into words, it determines your ability to lead. And men who articulate well, they can really rally people. They can negotiate, which is one of the most important skills in life. And they can move others towards action. If you can move people and hopefully inspire them, then you can move mountains. The third key is inner clarity. Articulation isn't just for others. It sharpens your own thinking. Because us men, we crave certainty inside of ourselves. And finding the right words, that creates that certainty for us. Without it, it's very easy for us to feel anxious, feel scattered, uncertain, and people pick up on that, especially when they're looking for people to trust. The fourth key area is connection and intimacy. Most men do want deeper relationships because although it's frustrating, we do understand that there is correlations between happiness and good relationships. The data suggests it too. We know this. But the problem in relationships is we struggle to express ourselves. Articulation does bridge that gap. It makes vulnerability clear and really concise, and honesty accessible, and intimacy even stronger. The fifth and final thing is legacy and impact. This is that internal call for contribution, to leave something behind, to actually matter. And every man does want to matter, to leave something behind. And words in your voice are the carriers of that legacy. They shape how you're remembered and whether your ideas, they live beyond you. A really constructive way to approach the art of communication. And I love that, the art of communication. It's not just how we speak between each other, it's the art, which is within it, articulating yourself. There's another powerful metaphor that's going to help you with the art of communication. It's also something that I picked off Peterson at that very show. And it really stuck with me because it involves the human body, which I've been technically and professionally working with for well over 15 years. He illustrated that the human body isn't just one solid mass. It's made up of joints, and those joints, they articulate. If you want to do more with your body or your life, you have to develop that articulation. When he said that, my mind automatically thought of Conor McGregor in his prime. He was fluid, he was precise, and every movement was connected. And as McGregor said after he knocked out Jose Aldo in devastating fashion, one of the fastest knockouts of all time, precision beats power and timing beats speed. The same is true with your words. Precision outlasts the volume of the words that you spill, and great articulation, it cuts deeper than the noise. Take Proverbs 18:21. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. In plain terms, words carry weight. They can build or destroy. They can bless or curse, create or cut down. So to become articulate is to master your own tongue, because words are never neutral. They're weapons or medicine. They can plant confidence in someone, or they can quite literally fracture it. They can open doors. They can close deals. They can heal relationships, or they can actually destroy them. And when you think about it, look to history. Nations have gone to war over words alone. Families have split apart over words that are being said. But also movements have risen. People have found hope, and generations have all been inspired, all through words spoken with clarity and conviction. I myself was always a talker, but I was not a good conversationalist and certainly not an effective communicator, which is why I have so much purpose in my life in this day teaching this stuff. You want to know why this is my purpose? It's because I know the pain, I know the doubt, the sense of lack, the fear and the anxiety that comes from not having this dialed in. And here's a deeper truth to it. When I realized and I made a bold decision to master my mind, to own my voice, I learned that we don't just talk to others. We talk to organize our own minds. I often refer in my work to the mental prison. That is the best way I could have explained where my mind was at during the most sufferable times of my life, when I was in the most darkness. And when I was in that hole and making sense of what was going on inside me and all the things that were falling down in my life, I found writing, and writing helps because clear writing is clear thinking that's made visible. But I also learned, as I became a more fluent communicator, able to articulate myself, we mostly think by talking. Because talking is how we separate what matters from what doesn't. It's how we make sense of where we've been and then where we're going and where we are right now. It's how we test our ideas, sharpen our strategies, and steady our emotions. Talking isn't just how we remember things. It's how we forget things that don't serve us as well. So I do want to leave you with a simple framework that came straight out of my own journey when I shifted from the strength and conditioning world into yoga teaching and facilitation and emotional wellness. Because yoga is so much more than just movement and breath. There's a whole philosophical layer that's woven through it. And it's actually one that I've traveled India twice to immerse myself in, to truly gauge and embody what was being taught or what I was teaching and learning through my experience. And when you're standing in front of 60 plus people in a room, every single word that you say matters, because people are so sensitive in that space. They're tuned in deeply and they want to feel it. There were so many times I said to myself when I was teaching yoga that I wanted to stop it. But again and again, I realized that it was actually my greatest training ground for getting the best out of other people. And at the time, I had lots of other things I was doing, but that was the most impactful. That's really where I found the power of my voice and my ability to move people and to combine all the things that I've done in my life up to that point. In many ways, it helped me find myself too. And the truth is that my words back then, they were good, but they were also a bit shaky and disembodied. They didn't land with impact and truly move people until I trained myself to become precise with my language and centered in my energy. It was the first time in my life when I consciously practiced the art of communication. And I learned the true power of the spoken word, because I could literally and quite viscerally see whether my words were landing or missing the mark with people. It was that constant feedback that shaped me into the coach, the speaker, and the mentor that I am today. And I truly don't know if I would be where I am and exist doing this stuff without it. So here's the framework I built from that experience. It's quite simple. It's easy, but it does challenge everything. It's called the power pause, or you can also call this the power frame. Both work. You must slow down before you speak. I need to eat my own words in many ways because I do fit a lot in when I speak. I teach my classes and do my talks the same way too. It's a real effort for me to slow down. But that's where I use the power pause or the pause and frame. I slow down first and foremost. And that allows me to really register and check in and ask myself, what is the core point I want to land? Like, it's really important that you understand what needs to be said and also what you want to land. That intent is picked up even without words. And this also prevents rambling and gives your words more weight. It's precision over volume. It's more of a qualitative approach than it is a quantitative one. I want you to try and use fewer, sharper words. You can swap filler words like kinda, or the less obvious ones like actually or true, truthfully, basically or literally. You can drop all these habitual phrases like also, you know, or like, to be honest, sort of, kind of. This helps you get more precise. And like Conor McGregor said, precision beats power and timing beats speed. The same goes for your speech. Then there's also presence, all right? You deliver with energy and with ownership. Your words only carry as much weight as the conviction that's behind them. So speak like you mean it. When you're in that place of really centering your energy and coming through with some ownership and some authority, you want to make sure that you do follow the first power pause and you pause and you really bring things into frame, because when you're there, that's when your words matter. So if you're spilling these filler words, you're going to lose some of that power. That's when you start to speak like you mean it, even if you feel a bit unsure. Because confidence isn't pretending, it's committing fully to the delivery. And here's the key I want you to take away. When you take that pause, letting your breath be the first word that you speak, and when you practice the precision, which is step 2, you naturally step into your assertive voice. This is the voice where every word counts. It carries the energy, the self-assurance, and the authority, which is step 3. So people don't just hear you, they feel you. Now, before you go, grab the Confidence Kickstart in the show notes. It's a communication cheat sheet with 5 simple frameworks to help you resolve inner conflict and speak with greater authority without second-guessing yourself. And if you are ready to go deeper and get direct access to me, the Prosperity Mastermind is open. It's a high accountability mastermind with direct access and mentorship with driven men who know that they're built for more. But they tend to circle around their potential, and inside we break the cycles of self-doubt, sabotage, and hesitation and get you aligned, clear, and moving so your results finally match your purpose. In the next episode, I'll take you through the number 1 fear in the world, other than death, which is public speaking. I'll teach you some cool things about how I actually overcame my fear of public speaking. I'll see you there.